Fruitful Living with Sissel Anderson. Here on Morning Joy, where truth matters.
Welcome back to Morning Joy, where truth matters. I'm your host, Keith Downey, and it's another time for, another edition of Fruitful Living with Sissel Anderson. And today, Sissel's going to be unpacking a topic we probably all need: rest, and not just sleep or zoning out, but the kind of rest that really renews your soul and aligns with God's will. Good morning, Sissel.
Good morning, Keith. I think this topic is kind of comical for me to be talking about because I probably am like the worst offender of not resting. But, sometimes that's what we got to do. We got to call ourselves out. That's right. And that's why this topic came to mind, because I was feeling a little drained in the last few days. And my friends and family laugh at me a lot, and I get in trouble a lot when I have too booked of a schedule, or, I've just said yes to too many things. I have like this back and forth in my brain, because I both am like an introvert and like a lot of alone time and need alone time, but also have really bad FOMO, the fear of missing out. So I want to be and do everything. And so they're always competing with each other. But before we get into the subject of what it means to properly rest, let's talk about why is it even important, and like who says that we should rest. And I think it's kind of obvious, it's kind of basic, is that God does. Pretty much from the beginning. I mean, he created the world and he created the day of rest. He rested. And he made us in his image and likeness, which means that we should, in fact, be resting. In fact, I did not find every single time, but on a rough research, the word rest is mentioned about 400 or 500 times in the Bible. Wow. So I think that rest to our Lord was a little bit of a priority. It was something that he really wanted to get across to us. Like, I don't know if other generations have struggled with resting as much as we do today, like properly resting. Because I don't know if he just was really preparing for us today, because I feel like all those verses are really speaking to this generation, this era of our history, because especially here in America, we really struggle with the idea of not doing anything. I don't know, Keith, have you ever felt that?
Oh, absolutely. Well, and I wonder if it's because of the technology that we are now so deeply ingrained with, because we could literally just pick up the phone. Maybe I'm just going to respond to an email, even though I'm on vacation. I'm just going to do this one little thing. It's okay, but that does have an effect, even if it's on, like you said, like a Sunday, which is really truly the day of rest that we should focus on not doing any sort of heavy, unrelated, unnecessary work.
Yeah, honestly, having your email on your phone is such a dangerous thing. Your work email, it's so hard. We've gotten into such a culture of like, you need to be accessible at all times. And I do it too. It was actually really funny last week when we were in Medjugorje. It wasn't necessarily a vacation. It was a working trip pilgrimage. We were doing a lot of things, but I just, out of habit, I don't even realize how full of habit I am with just like opening up my email and checking emails. And I did that with my email for my parish for running our young adult group, and it actually like sent a security warning to our admin, because it was like someone's accessing an email in Bosnia. And it was really funny, but it was kind of funny because like that wasn't necessarily something I needed to be doing while I was in Bosnia, but it's just out of habit. I have my phone in my hand and immediately I'm opening up my email. So anyhow, lesson learned, don't do that.
Yeah, no kidding.
That was really funny. But so we know that the Lord is very heavily emphasizing resting. And so you're thinking, well, I rest, I sleep, in the evenings I watch TV or whatever it may be. But I think we really fundamentally misunderstand what rest should be. Because how many times because you're like, first off, you're probably thinking, well, I don't have much time for really dedicated rest time. We feel this strong guilt about actually taking time to do quote unquote nothing, right? To do something that's not moving us forward, that's not productive towards something else, to some end. I mean, maybe this is just me, but when was the last time that anyone listening sat down and either just sat there without their phone nearby and did nothing, or worked on something like, some art or something, a hobby of theirs that they enjoy that is leading to no end, that is just doing it for the sake of doing it because it's restful and it calms you down, whether it's like crocheting or, or some other little hobby that you might have. Because I know I love doing art, but it always these days ends up being it's for something. It's for a project. That's the only time I sit down and do something like that. And more often than not, we do have like little spurts of time throughout our days, maybe 5-10 minutes where we don't have anything to do. Maybe you're waiting in your car for your kids, or whatever it may be. And instead of taking time to properly rest, what do? We spend 10 minutes like doom scrolling on our phones. And that's so not restful. It is not helpful because all it does is just distracts your mind. It makes you kind of get anxious because you're looking at all these things that other people are doing and you're thinking, I'm behind, or I need to do that. Or maybe you're even making your to-do list of things that you need to do. And I'm not saying that we're not all busy people, that we don't have families or, commitments that we have to take care of. We do have obligations. But maybe we need to change our mindset and just accept the fact that some things are not as important and that they can wait even just 10-15 minutes for us to properly sit and rest, because it's in this time of resting that our Lord really works on us. And I think that's so important that we don't remove that from our daily schedule. I don't know, have you ever tried, Keith, to just like sit down and do nothing, like not have your phone nearby, or just sit there and just be very quiet and resting in God's presence?
I would say, yeah, before I had children, yes, that there was a lot of opportunities that I look back now, I'm like, I could have been more restful. And now every once in a while, like I do get a brief moment where, yeah, it's just like intentionally not doing something, or intentionally doing something, like you said, that has no end. Like, oh, I'm just going to read just a quick chapter here, or maybe just, I don't know, doodle or write. And I like how you mentioned too, like if we don't do these little restful breaks, there might not be that you being receiving of our Lord, because when we aren't so in tuned or so focused on something, we're just probably not gonna hear our Lord.
Mm. And, another thing that's important to think about, and it's something I don't think I even registered, but I was watching a video and I would recommend it. It's from Ascension Presents. And I think it's Sister Mary Grace did a video all about, God wanting us to rest. And she made an observation, and it's just very true, is that God created us just to be. He didn't necessarily create us to have to, for to-do lists and to, for a certain task. Like obviously we all have vocations, we have all things we are called to do, but us on our own, our existence and us just living day-to-day life, fulfilling our vocations, even if it's nothing grand, if it's just getting, taking care of our families, and taking that time to rest, that is what he desires for us to do. And that's hard. It's really hard, I feel like, for us today to fully process, because we're like, no, I have to be doing this. I have to be, getting to the next level in my life, whether it be for my career or just even like my education. I have to be able to, I need to read these books so that I become this much smarter, and not so much like I want to read these books because they relax me and I love learning and it's something beautiful. It all becomes very much like on where are we trying to go?
Yeah. I think sometimes, and I've felt this too, like if you've ever been on like vacation or taking a rest, you feel kind of lazy.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I should be doing something. I've already prayed, but now like I don't know if it's because we are so in the mix of just being so over the top on doing something and always having to be doing something and always having to be working, that when we do take finally a vacation or a rest, it almost feels like an indulgence or something.
Yeah, exactly. I've taken 2 trips in the last month and a half or so. Very blessed to go on both of them. Neither of them I would describe as restful, though, because they're both very high intensity, a lot of running around. There was no sitting on the beach, just taking in the views. And so, I'm with my siblings and I are talking about, like, we just need to go off the grid for a weekend and disappear and sit in, and just sit and have phones off and just properly relax. And when you do that, you are, first off, probably going to feel a lot better and maybe be a little less tense, maybe, rip people's heads off a little bit less. And you also will be more attuned, I think, to what God is asking you to do each day. Like you'll actually be able to hear the noise of life will slowly drift away. The few times that I've been able to do that, I've definitely seen the difference. It's just getting into the habit of recognizing, maybe you can't do like 30 minutes every day. Maybe that's with your schedule. That's just not something in the season of life that you're in. But can you do those 5-10 minutes when you're in your car waiting for something? Can you put the phone down and properly rest?
Yeah. Great points. And I wonder too, Sissel, like, especially when it comes to Sundays, because I think a lot of times we often, especially towards the weekends, we treat Saturdays like our rest day because we just got done with the work week and now we get to rest. And then, of course, Sunday comes and it's like all the chores that I had to do, I now have to do on Sunday, or at least I have to get ready for Monday. And then leading up to Monday morning, we just don't feel very rested. And I think it's become kind of a brutal cycle. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, our day of rest has really gotten kind of warped. You're right. Sunday is kind of becoming our reset day. Yeah. Which I admittedly do that as well. It's like our grocery shopping day. It's like, whatever it may be. And Saturdays end up just being like another weekday.
Yeah.
And it's really bad. So maybe just trying to readjust and taking back your Saturdays as a work day and making Sundays your rest day is something really important.
Well said, Sissel. Well, hey, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I know you're probably still readjusting from your trip to Medjugorje, but you probably need rest from that trip, even if it's just a beautiful opportunity. And just I've seen the fruits from everybody who's been there from the GRN. So really, really great to have you back. And hey, that is the first hour of Morning Joy, where truth matters. Thanks again, Sissel. And hey, if you're out there watching or listening and you're unable to stick around with us after this quick little break, make sure to check out the second hour. It'll be ready for you either on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or hey, even on YouTube. You can watch us. That's right. For those leaving, though, we'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning. It's Thursday, 6 a.m. Central, 7 a.m. Eastern, and make it a joyful day. And hey, coming up after the break here, should public figures who oppose church teaching still present themselves for Holy Communion? We'll talk about that and what real pastoral courage looks like. We're talking with UK Catholic and radio host Will Anselm just ahead. And don't forget, tomorrow morning at this time, Alan Smith will be diving once again into Bishop Sheen and all of his wisdom that he brings with him. And that's tomorrow. But hey, like I said, this is us parting ways for the very last time today. God bless. Make it a joyful Wednesday. Otherwise, we'll see you real quick after this coffee break.
This has been Morning Joy, where truth matters, hosted by Keith Downey. Take some joy with you today. Visit grnonline.com/joy to listen again, share a segment, or answer the question of the day. That's grnonline.com/joy.